A brand new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast is about to begin. It's time to be inspired by simple and actionable solutions for you and your business. If you're an established entrepreneur or just laying down the first brick of your future empire, the mantra is the same. We will flip any failure into a positive and use it to our advantage. This show is all about turning coal into diamonds. With the right plan and mindset, anything is possible. I'm Jennifer Dawn, your host, business coach, and founder of Best Planner Ever, and I'm here to help you achieve all your ambitious goals. Success is closer than you think. Let's do this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast. I'm super excited because as we were talking behind the scenes before we started, we decided this was going to be the Unstuck episode.
You have come to the right place.
We have come to the right place. So if you are feeling stuck, this is the episode that you want to listen to. And I am here with my amazing guest, Beate. And she is a growth architect and founder of the Woman's Code and provides visionaries and leaders, but guys, you can listen into, it's okay. Visionaries and leaders with strategies that grow your authority so that you can scale your impact. And I am just super excited to have you here. Would you mind telling everybody a little bit of your story and how you got to be here with us today doing this work?
Yes, thank you so much, Jennifer. So first of all, welcome everybody. We're so excited that you are here. My name is Beate Cheleete. I'm originally from Germany, so I'm a first-generation immigrant, and I work as the growth architect here in Los Angeles, and being a growth architect really means that I help my clients and business owners to figure out what's the system, the process, and also the spiritual component of success, and then map out these strategies and systems so that you can get unstuck and then move forward from building the business to growing the business to then scaling the business and making yourself obsolete. And my background is I originally come from the creative arts. I'm a photographer by trade. I worked at fashion magazines like Elle magazine and a smaller magazine in Germany, immigrated to the United States, was a photo editor here for a company that was doing photography production. And then I owned my own production company and photography representation agency. Moved into stock photography syndication, sold that business for millions of dollars to Bill Gates in a wonderful transaction that is literally every entrepreneur's dream. And ever since, I've been in service of entrepreneurs, business owners, and in my German engineering ways, really trying to make things easy to understand and breaking them down in the simplest possible way, because a lot of it, and Jennifer, I know you see this with other internet marketers that make it so unbelievably complicated. Yeah. And it's like all these different steps. And then you look at it, it's like, it's really not necessary. At the end of the day, it's very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. So let's keep it simple.
Agree completely. I love this so much. So I know there are people listening right now who are like, okay, I'm stuck. I don't quite know where to go or what to do. So can you just break it down? Like, what are the steps or the stages that people can go through when they're feeling stuck in their business?
Yes. So I think this is really one of the most important topics to talk about right now, Jennifer, because what happens is that we are so susceptible to external influences. So when you turn on your television, when you turn on your phone and you look at what the news are, there's so much conflicting information that it's very difficult for us to understand where are we really at. And then what happens in the spiritual part of our lives, in the mindset, our mind becomes confused. In a confused mindset, there is a phenomenon that occurs that's called a double binding message. So then you may believe in the law of attraction, or you may do your mindset stuff and you go, yes, I can do this, and I'm good, and life is good, and you have all your mantras ready. And then there's this nagging underlying thing where you say, well, that's not really what's happening here. Look in your bank account. Your cash flow is bad. How are we going to make payroll next month? That job just canceled. Our biggest client just got bankrupt. And so you have this discrepancy where the two voices in your head are literally in a screaming match, where one says you can and the other one says, get real, you can't. So that's where typically the stuck pattern begins, is that there is an adversity, there is an event that throws you back, that triggers a trauma, that triggers something from a previous experience. And now you start to go, I don't know what to do. When you go into this I don't know what to do state, the way to get out of it is use something that we call the 5-star success blueprint. In the 5-star success blueprint, there's literally 5 stars in it. The first one is the idea. You go back to the basics. You say, who am I? Why am I doing this? Who am I serving? And what is the problem my client has? Because that keeps changing, because business is ever evolving. So you may have had people that were concerned about scaling their operations, and now they're worried about growing their operations or keeping them at status quo, or at least not declining. That's 2 completely different sets of actions or products or services you need to offer them, because it's 2 different problems. So you go back to that and you say, where am I with that? When you have that in the can, you go to the second one, and the second one is the offer. Then you need to look at your products and services and you say, is how and what I offer solving my client's problem that they have at this moment in time? That's already where most of the discrepancy starts. Because then you go, well, I used to sell this, but it's not selling right now. Well, that's because the market's changed and the problem's changed. So then your offer needs to change. Mm-hmm. Once you have the offer that solves the problem that you've identified the client has right now, you go back to your systems and you look, are my systems managing that offer that solves the problem? So is that really aligned? Now you look at your automation, you look at your autoresponders, you look at your tripwire, your lead magnets, your opt-ins, your whole way of operating, and make sure you read every email and go, is this even relevant right now? I have found a couple of my emails that refer to the COVID crisis. Mm. And they're just hanging out and you just don't catch them unless you really go into it, Jennifer, right? And you be diligent about it and you say, okay, I guess that needs to be updated now, because the COVID crisis is not the crisis of the moment. It's a different crisis.
Yeah.
When you have the systems now flushed out, now you go and you look at your team and you say, do I have the right people in place to manage my systems that are bringing my offer to my clients so we can solve their problems? Now, here is what often happens in times like this, is that the people have changed and that they're no longer the right people. We let our salesperson go. We let our YouTube person go. We made a lot of changes. We took a lot of stuff in-house because it just wasn't up to, we didn't feel that it was pulling together. We felt that it was different people doing different things, but it didn't pull together. So we got rid of the complexity, pulled it back together. And now when we've, as we are rebuilding the system internally on our own, then we can bring back people to manage those systems because we've built them. But if you bring people in to build your systems without having an understanding of what the systems need to do, that's another one of the big issues that I see all the time. And then finally, we get to the 5th star, and the 5th star is you as a leader. Who do you need to be? Is your positioning, your branding, your personality, your persona in sync with what you are offering, with this idea that you're selling? That's why it's round, right? Because, now we're here at the team and the idea is back at the top. Are you aligned with that idea as a leader so you can lead your team that manages the systems, handles the offer that solves the problem for the client? And that's how you can always get back to figuring this out. And we, if anybody's interested, we have this at 5starsuccessblueprint.com. You can go check it out. But I feel that every business owner, whether this is this or something else, needs to have a system in place or a measurement to say, once a year, every 6 months, is what we do still relevant? Is how I show up still relevant? Our systems and processes still relevant? Is what we do still relevant?
Yeah. Oh, makes sense. So very, very powerful. And I love where this conversation is going. I want to go back to the first star, which one of the things that you said was that the confusion that gets created. And when we're in that state of confusion, how we start saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. One of the things that helped me so much to kind of step out of that when I've gotten into these confused states, because let's face it, we're all business owners. We've all been confused.
So much going on all the time.
Right. And one of the things I noticed was that the more I said, I don't know, the more I created, I don't know. And one of the really, it's a simple shift. You guys, everybody can do it starting right now today. It doesn't cost you a thing. Definitely opt into this amazing piece of information so you have it in your hands. But I just started saying, I choose to know. And every time I caught myself saying, I don't know, I was like, nope, cancel that. I choose to know. I choose to know. And before long, it was like the information, the answers started flowing because, and I've always coached my clients on this too. When you say, I don't know, you close that door. You just close that door of opportunity. You cannot have that answer because you've closed the door. So make sure that you're keeping that door open, especially if you're feeling confused and you start to notice yourself saying, I don't know, I don't know. Just slow it down. I choose to know and stay open to receive that information. So I just want to add that because you're right. And the way that you describe the confusion, like so good. So good. I absolutely love that. Right. And then when you're in that confused state and you're, I don't know, you just sort of feel lost and you absolutely feel stuck.
No, even less. Yes,
Right.
you're absolutely correct. My mindset trainer, David Nagel, who I worked with, he has a great phrase as well. So he taught me how to say, if you knew, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
And what that question does, it bypasses that confused state and it goes behind it. And I use it with my clients all the time. So when my clients say, well, I don't know, I say, well, hypothetically speaking, if you did know, what would it be? And boom, there's the answer. And then I say, well, so you did know. And they're like, oh, I guess I did.
Right. Because you really did. You just opened up your mind and your heart to the answer, and all the answers are always within us. And so I love that just little shortcut of just like, if you did know, what would it be? And now you can answer the question.
Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful. In step 2 with the offer, I love how you talked about really getting clear on your offer. I remember working with a coach and he said to me at the stage of business where I was at the time, he's like, Jennifer, your business is too complicated for the stage of growth that you're in. And it was hard to hear, but it was so true. And the moment that he said that, I was like, oh, you're right. Because I was just going too fast and getting too big too fast. And I wasn't really ready for all of it. And so by just getting clear and clearing out some things and simplifying the business, it just took a lot of that overwhelm away. And then it really gave me more clarity and focus. And so I love how you also mentioned, like with your offer, just really looking at it and maybe just starting to simplify. If you're doing a little too much, then you need to really be doing.
You are absolutely correct. And I'd like to just give sort of an example so people can put this in perspective. So imagine now, let's say we have a coach or a consultant, and everybody tells every coaching consultant you need to have a $20,000-$25,000 mastermind, right? Which is great. Now, I also know that in that high ticket market right now, we're seeing definitely a dip because people have bought a lot of these programs when they were in COVID and the government paid for it.
Right.
But I do see that there's a little bit of a dip right now that people are not as easily forking over $20,000-$25,000 for a program. So if you are not selling something that you used to sell as much, find a different way. Find a different way to position it. Could you do a monthly program with a membership that is then maybe at $1,000 a month? It may not be $25,000, and you adjust it, and then you create your pipeline for your $25,000 program, because you first have to get your clients to that point where they can afford that $25,000 program. Or let's say if you make them an extra $250,000 with your $1,000 a month program, that's whatever, $12,000 or $10,000 a year. Now you can justify that if they were paying you $25,000, that they probably could make, $500,000 much more easily. So this is also about stepping away from the way it's always been done and say, is my pricing working? Is this landing with my audience? And a lot of people say, no, you got to charge what you're worth and your value. Well, you also have to look at what the market is bearing and say, well, where are we at right now? Is this an audience I want to go after? And the other piece that comes to that is that I see that a lot of times the attraction that comes to a business is not the avatar this company wants, so that the branding is misaligned. And I had, especially in the women's code, which I designed for women, I attracted 40 to 55-year-old grumpy men that had bad divorces and what it got mad at a woman that talks about feminism and equality. And so when I looked at the data, I mean, it was like 80% men, just hating on me. So my brand was positioned wrong because it brought me the wrong clientele. I mean, there's not a man in the world that will buy my, woman empowerment program. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I had to, make some adjustments to that. So also look at the data and see if the data that comes back is the right data. And if it's not the right data, then the data tells the story, unfortunately or fortunately.
Yeah, so true. And I love what you had to say about the high ticket, so many of those high ticket programs. It's interesting. We actually kind of went in the opposite direction of the high ticket because we've seen so many clients coming to us that have gotten burned by these programs where they've invested these huge amounts of money. Huge. And it's like, oh, hey, you have access for 60 days. You have access for 90 days. And as business owners, like it's hard to get through a program and make massive changes in your business in such a short period of time. And then it's like, oh, now you're done unless you pay us a bunch more money. And we've just seen so many clients come to us having been burned from these programs. And so we actually changed, we didn't change it. We just stuck with our pricing, which is we price month to month. And it's like, look, if we're not providing value, don't keep working with us. That's our model. And so I do think that there have been so many of these programs. And if you're listening to this right now and you're looking at going in this direction, just like do something that's ethical, that you can absolutely honor, provide the value, and your clients, they will find you. Business owners talk. Don't worry so much about like, hey, if I change all this, it's all going to blow up. It's not going to be the same. But focus more on the value and what you provide, because if you really know your stuff and you have to reprice it, you're still providing the value. You will still get the clients.
I couldn't agree with you more. And this is again where the spiritual part of it comes in. I did a spiritual journey at the beginning of the year with an ayahuasca journey. And I did that because I felt that there was really a big shift and also a shift inside of me that I really needed to pay attention to. I discovered that I had a lot of childhood trauma, way more than I had remembered. And I realized on how much it was affecting me in the way I do business, because I didn't get that from my mother specifically. So I was trying to get that somewhere else. And because I was trying to get it somewhere else, there was this, this thing where I always felt there was this invisible just thing sitting in front of me. And when I got back, I looked at this and I said, well, I need to bring my spirituality and my belief system into it. And spirituality to me is not, it's whatever you want it to be. You want to go to church, do that. You're going to go to temple, do that. You believe in one source, spirit, universe. I don't really care. But I have learned that successful people have a spiritual practice. They just do. Because the spiritual practice is the mindset, is the connectedness to energy, it's the connectedness to each other. And that, I think, is exactly the point that you're making, is when you have that deep-seated honesty and that value system that you say, I'm here to serve. I'm here to provide to other people information, and I'm here to share and help, and honestly, and I'm not here with the big stacks of cash and the Ferrari outside. I mean, that may be appealing for some people. It certainly isn't for me. But to have that and say, this is who I am, this is what I do. If this resonates with you, let's give it a shot. Let's work together. And if at any given time there is a conversation that needs to be had, let's have that conversation. And I think that's what's really shifting. And that's why a lot of people are stuck, because that old way, the raw way, is not working. You have to connect on a much deeper, more intimate level with your clients at this moment in time.
Yeah, agree 100%. I always tease my husband. I'm like, you're never going to see a Ferrari in my driveway, but you will see a horse trailer. And I always tell him, like, honey, you never have to worry about me cheating, but I could at any moment bring home another horse. And so just so you know, some of us have Ferraris and some of us have, I have thoroughbreds. And so you never know what
You
that
never
thing
know what
is.
that's going to, no. I had the same conversation with my husband at Bloomingdale's, where we walked into the Yves Saint Laurent store at corner, and he says, well, explain to me why this is so expensive. And then we were talking about it a little bit, and I explained it to him, and I said, well, it's still not the Birkin bag that's now, $25,000, and there's a wait list for that. And then he looks at me with shock, and I said, no worries. I said, I have no desire to ever get a Birkin bag. There's just no scenario in this world that I can imagine that I would want a $25,000 purse.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's really important. To me, it's not. That's not where I put my value. And to your point, however your brand shows up, if your brand is a high-end brand and the Birkin bag is the symbol for that brand, by all means, go do that. But be clear what that means and be honest about it and saying the reason we do this, just like you said, no Ferraris, but horses. And horses are not cheap either. It's not exactly no. And the keep and the stables and the work that goes into it. So there's a lot associated with that. But when you own your stuff, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I won't even go and do the math on how many Birkin bags I could have afforded having had horses for as many years.
A Birkin bag? That's cheap.
For as many years as I've had horses. So I love that so much. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about step number 3, which is the systems. And I see entrepreneurs, and even I struggled with this earlier on, where it's like, okay, I know I need to document my systems. And then we start documenting, and then everything changes. And then we start documenting, and everything changes. And it was funny. I think sometimes at the earlier stages of business, when you're still kind of like figuring it out, it's not always the best time to do the documentation of like, this is my system. And I think sometimes people overcomplicate it. It's like, I'm just going to document everything down to the gnat's ass. And we found that like, if we have 80% of what we do the most, that dialed in, we're good. And even trying to go deeper than that just caused more chaos in the business. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on when it comes time to really figure out your systems, document them, have those processes.
Yeah, I think that people generally think that the systems or the documentation, the standard operational procedure has to be this really long, boring sort of McDonald's franchise document. You have Monday, you have Asana, that's your SOP. Because when you set up Asana or a Monday or any project management software the right way, it lays out the steps one by one by one by one. So we had we do YouTube videos, and we found out, I was just at a podcast conference, that YouTube is sinking billions of dollars into making YouTube now the number one podcasting platform. And that the fastest growing segment is young men between 18 and 35 that are watching podcast interviews on video on their TVs while they're at home, which I did not know.
I didn't
But the
either.
numbers are extraordinary. So when I heard that immediately felt like that is something that we need to be doing. So we have an RSS feed that goes into our YouTube channel for our Business Growth Architect show that does just the audio. But we are uploading all the videos in a separate video, a podcast segment. And guess what the audience is? 100% male, 18 to 25. Now that's an audience I'm interested in, much more than the grumpy old men, right? That are yelling at me. No offense here, but you also have to be, when you build these systems, then go and say, well, we've been doing YouTube. But when you have the workflow set up in a project management software, that is your standard operational procedure.
Yeah.
Because then you can just go in and say, okay, what's changed now in the way we do this? Well, now the video needs to be uploaded. There needs to be a different thumbnail. There needs to be different copy. There needs to be chapters. and now you adjust it. So you don't have to redo this. It's like a work in progress. And that, to me, when you build systems and automation and processes, is really the best way to do it, is that you build it in project management softwares or in a Go High level or a Keep or wherever you run your automation. That is your standard operational procedure if you use the workflows and the tags and the, if this, then what method.
Right.
And that way you adjust as you go. But would I sit now down and start wanting to document this step by step by step by step? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's our standard operation procedures, the workflow in action.
Yeah, agree completely. We use Asana. We love it.
Oh
Everything's
my gosh.
in there.
Is there anything better in life?
We love it.
Yes.
No, we live by our Asana. It just works so beautifully. And then we do use a product called Trainual that we came across a few years ago, and a few of our team are certified in. And for our onboarding, to automate that onboarding process, I mean, I haven't found anything that works better. Between Trainual and Asana, it's all in there, and we just love it. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, there's no need for anybody to create this. There's so many SaaS solutions out there. Just find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of AppSumo, where you can get a lot of apps that are in beta testing, where they have built the ground floor and now they need to put people in to see what the system can do, where you can go in a lot of these great SaaS products. And you pay a one-time fee. Sometimes it's less than $100, and you got a pretty good product going. And some you win and some you don't.
Yeah, love it, love it. All right, talk to me a little bit about team. In my earlier businesses, I did not hire correctly, and having people was such a headache. It was such a headache. In fact, when I started my coaching practice over 12 years ago, I was just like, I'm going to be a one-woman show. I don't want to deal with people. And that was it. Of course, that didn't last. A few years into it, I'm like, all right, if I want to scale my business, I'm going to have to add people. Now, thankfully, my team, I'm just so blessed to have this just awesome team. And we are a family. We love each other. We're all super high functioning women. We get things done, and I love it. But when you don't have that team, if you're struggling with people problems, let's talk to me about this. What do you do when you're just like, team?
Well, first you automate before you hire. Because once you've automated, then you know what you need to hire for. Do not, under any circumstance, attempt a mini-me cloning. Mini-me cloning is entrepreneurs, business owners who say, I'm really good at so many things. I just need 4 people who are just like me who do what I do. That is called chaos and confusion, right?
Yep.
So the way I recommend you do this is keep a list and go through what you do in the course of a day. Checking emails, making phone calls, sales call, following up with clients, checking leads in my CRM, setting up projects in Asana. And you do the list, and then you take a pen and you go and you score the task. You say, I don't mind doing this. I neither like or dislike. That's a 5. I can't stand entering invoices in QuickBooks. That's a 1. Love talking to clients. That's a 10. And then you go, and what gets outsourced is everything that's under a 7 for you. Very simple. And then you look at all the tasks that you have that you don't want to do, or that you could do, or you might even be good at, but that you shouldn't be doing. And you see, if I were to group them in a job, what would that job be? I personally believe that it's better to hire 10 outsourced specialists versus 1 person. And that is because it protects your business on a much higher level, and it allows you to scale faster. You can't scale 1 person, but you can scale 10. Because then you take them from 4 hours to 10 hours to 20 hours to full time. And now you know exactly and then you take them from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So you can really build this out. But that's how we recommend hiring.
Love it so much. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's exactly how I built my practice. We don't have any full-time employees other than me. I'm the full-time person, but we've built our business on part-time contractors. We're 100% contract, all part-time. And if somebody leaves, my whole business doesn't fall apart because it was like, oh, that key person is gone now. And that has just worked so well for us to just be able to bring people in as we need. And if somebody leaves, it's not like the end of the world. So I love it.
Yes, it's really a protection of yourself. And then people go like, yeah, but then I have to be managing. And I'm like, well, that's why the next star in the 5-star success blueprint is you as a leader. That's why it's there.
Exactly. And let's talk about that because at the end of the day, guys, it's your business and it all starts with you and it trickles down from the top. And if you're not doing that work to invest in yourself and your own skills and your own leadership abilities, don't complain that your business is a shit show because it's like, guess what? You need to work on you. You need to work on you first. So talk to me a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah. So leadership, there's so many people that have so many things to say about leadership. I look at this very pragmatically. There is a perception that other people have of you, and there's a perception you have of yourself. The perception other people have of you supersedes your own. So this is the litmus test. How you show up is measured by how others evaluate that. Now, if you don't have a process in place where people have the ability to tell you how you show up, you cannot become the leader that you are meant to be because you are living in a delusional state of self-grandeur. Mm-hmm. Now, I always look at this from the perspective of how old am I? Where am I in my career? How hard do I want to work? What's important to me? And then I look at who are the leaders that I can aspire to be and then emulate. Mm. Now, if you're a woman, that is for some reason incredibly difficult because society likes taking down women leaders. Mm. They say, well, anybody but her, or my God, look at her. She's got a big butt. She's not aging well, all this stuff. And especially right now, for some reason, we're back in this nutcase scenario of where this is that's big fight against women. It's like, I don't even know how we got here again. Yeah. And so you have to be always cognizant and say, well, who do I want to be as a leader? Mm-hmm. And I was at an event, I spoke at an event on Friday for the accelerators at the entrepreneur organization. And I'm, standing there and there were 2 empty serving plates and I take them and I put them away. And somebody said to me, wow, always so the mom. And I said, this has nothing to do with me being a mom. This is how I show up. Nice. I am the one that if that was my hotel and there was a piece of wrapper on the ground, I'd be picking that up. Yeah. And I'm, we are here. This place is donated by a big law firm. I want them to have us come back. And for me to see this, the mess, and to just take these 2 plates and throw them in the trash takes me nothing. I said, that's a choice. That's how I show up as a leader because that's how I choose to lead. Yeah, I love that so much. And we have so much power in our ability to make a choice and decide. That reminds me really quickly, my husband and I think my daughter was with us, my youngest, we were at the beach a few years ago and we went to a new section of the beach on the Jersey Shore where we like to go. But we hadn't been there before. And as we started walking down the beach, there was just like so much trash everywhere. It was just trash. And I was just like, I hate this. I hate this trash. And then we kept walking to the very end. We went as far as you could go. And I was like, you know what? I need a trash bag so I can pick all this stuff up. And sure as heck, we got to the end and there was one of those big black giant big lawn trash bags and it was brand new and it was literally like half buried under the sand. And I pulled that sucker up and I'm like, how is there a brand new trash bag like buried under the sand? And on our way back, we filled it. And it was very interesting because there were people who were seeing us as we were going along the beach picking up trash and they started to pick up trash. And this was years ago. And now it's like our thing that we do when we go to the beach. If we were just there a couple weekends ago and I don't know if the tide had come in or what happened. And I was just like, what's going on here? There's like all this trash. And so me and my husband, we couldn't even relax until we'd picked up the beach because we have to leave it cleaner than we found it. That's probably some of my barn training too. You always leave a barn cleaner than you found it. But it just was a choice that we made. It impacted other people.
And now it's become something that we just do, and it makes us feel really, really good. And that's who we are. And you can do this too. Even simple things like putting the plates in the trash or picking up trash on the beach. And it makes a difference in how we show up, and it affects others too.
Yeah. And that to me, that's really leadership. That's leadership in my own life. That's when I give my word, I keep my word. When I say I do this, then I'll do it. If something happens, I mean, it's really very easy, but that's, I think, how we start with leadership. And if you are leading like that, then your team recognizes that. And that's when the magic happens in the team, because then they say, well, if you're picking up the trash, and if you can do that and you're the boss, then maybe I can pick up that wrapper right now myself.
Yeah. And we're leading by example. And when you and your team are all dialed in, and it is magic, it just makes business so much fun when you're just working with these people, and it's magic. And I've had it not be magic, and I've had it be magic, and I'll take the magic every time.
Magic is better.
Yeah. Every time
Yes.
I'll take the magic.
Truly.
Yeah. Oh, this has been such a terrific conversation. Beate, thank you so much for being here with us today. Can you share with everybody where they can find out more about you and reach out and contact you?
Yes, of course. So you can go check out growtharchitect.biz, my website. We have a quiz that we created. It's called What's Your Talent Worth? And that was because people always ask me, it's like, well, how much money can I make with this idea? So if you have an idea and you want to find out, go to whatsyourtalentworth.com and check out the quiz. It'll give you a pretty accurate number. And if there's a discrepancy between what you're making right now and what the number says, you probably should either talk to Jennifer or me about this. And I'm all over social media as the growth architect of Beate Cheleete. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And if there's something that you heard and you go, I really need to speak to her, go schedule an uncovery session at uncoverysession.com. And I'll be happy to talk to you for 15 minutes, and we see what we can do to help you be unstuck and move forward with your business. And while we're at it, wherever you pick up this podcast, will you please go there now and give Jennifer, for the Happy Productive Podcast, a 5-star rating and a review. Engagement is really critical for the algorithms, which are all bots now, to see what works and what doesn't work. Give Jennifer a little bit love back, because this is a labor of love.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, please, please, please go leave us a review. We would so appreciate that. And share this with another business owner or two that really could use this information, because that's really our goal here. The name Happy Productive really came from being in our happy place and, of course, being productive in our businesses. But it's definitely about living in that higher level in your business and in your life. So thank you. Oh, and you guys go grab her book too, Happy Woman, Happy World. Okay. Yes, don't forget the book. I think
now,
it's
how to get from overwhelmed to awesome. Yes. That's a book I wrote. Yes. I wrote because it just gets so freaking overwhelming, especially for working moms and working entrepreneur moms, that I was like, okay, we have to stop the insanity. So it's called Happy Woman, Happy World, how to get your foolproof fix on how to get from overwhelmed to awesome.
Beautiful. And guys, while you're there buying that book, grab mine too, that just dropped, The Apple Stand, How to Rekindle the Love for Your Business. So if you're tired of the overwhelm, you want to go to the awesome, grab them both. And I know that they're going to help. Awesome. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, that's it for today's show. Get out there and have a happy, productive day. Bye, y'all. I hope you found today's episode of the Happy Productive Podcast inspiring. Every successful business is formed by a set of small, consistent, and attainable steps. If you want to learn more, come visit us at jenniferdawncoaching.com to take your next step and learn how to meet your business goals. On our website, you're going to find free resources along with links to the life-changing coaching programs that have transformed the lives of so many of our clients, including the Coaching Academy and our Unbreakable retreats. Many of them started their journey by listening to this podcast. That's it. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.